Welcome back to the Moon Magic Tarot channel. Welcome to the monthly moon forecast and welcome to eclipse season. This is the 11th moon phase of 2022 and it's connected to the Celtic law of Ivy, which is all about relationships and our interconnectedness with all of life really, as well as predominantly our human relationships, and also the moon of Walks Tall Woman. This is the tribal, Native American tribal moon. So I'm going to speak to you about the tree law of Ivy, the moon of Walks Tall Woman, and then we will look at detail at each of the moon phases through this moon month, and I will also highlight any particularly strong spikes of energy that happen during those moon phases so that you have the heads up way ahead of time in terms of navigating your life from a position of conscious awareness. I mean, this is how we really learn to manifest with the moon. And for anyone that might want to return to this video, you might want to bookmark the page and come back to it at different times during the phases of this moon month. I will put timestamps in the information box below so you can find exactly the part of the video that you want to, with all of the information that you want at your fingertips at any time. So let's talk about the Celtic information, the moon information, and the Native American tribal information, because this is what I call the soul growth layer. In every moon phase, there are stories, narratives, and sort of life lessons that are shown in both of these cultures. Even though they're on opposite sides of the globe, the information and symbolism and narratives are absolutely in alignment with one another. And I actually found that during these moon phases, the lessons that were showing up in my own life correlated exactly with the lessons that were shown in the narrative. The life lessons that come from Ivy and also Walks Tall Woman are associated with independence and understanding the nature of true independence and healthy interdependence. So don't be surprised if these kinds of issues surface in your life during this moon month. And also, because we are in eclipse season, this may connect to historical issues as well, things that are being worked through in order to be processed, shifted and moved beyond. Eclipse season brings us into a really interesting space where we can see the past, how it's impacting on the present, what we can do in the present to then shift and change the direction of our future. So let's look at the different phases of this 11th moon cycle of the year. We begin this moon phase with a new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, and these are the timings across the globe. The energy of a new moon in Scorpio naturally lends itself to support wishes and intentions that embrace any kind of change and personal transformations that go deep, and it's eclipse season. And the energy today, the overall energy, is really supporting wishes and intentions that help us to remove any of those inner limiting beliefs that block potential, and also at the same time open up a space of new horizons. This actually connects in beautifully, this energy, to the influence of Ivy and of Walks Tall Woman, because we are now in the realm of sorting through any aspects of inner power struggles that connect to relationships, past, present, and how we want them to be in the future. So the energy today is very much about self-mastery, transformation, letting go of power struggles, and really leaning into dreams, wishes, intentions that connect us to the kind of soulmate relationships that we really wish to manifest. Whether these are past relationships, present relationships, or relationships that we wish to invest in or create in the future. In the build-up to the exact timing of this new moon, we actually see a very long, nearly 7 hours, void of course period. This is when the moon is sitting between Libra and Scorpio. She's moving from one sign into another with a space in between. This kind of space can feel very liberating, but it can also leave us feeling a bit unanchored, depending on what's going on in our world. I actually think this time could be used really, really well in preparation for our new moon wishes and intentions, because we can lean into a dream time space of our own where there is no influence of the particular personality of a sign. The most powerful time, and generally thought of the best time, to write down any wishes and intentions is from the exact time of the new moon and for the 8 hours following, which is why I've given you the exact timings across the globe. And here they are again as a reference point, just in case you need them. We then move into the waxing crescent moon phase. So the moon is now starting to get bigger. I always think if you've had a new moon where you've set your intentions and wishes, it's a bit like setting your GPS for the month and you're now coming out of the parking lot and you need to get going. Now during this moon phase, the moon will pass through Sagittarius and Capricorn, and we will also see her flow through the Earth calendar point of Samhain or Beltane if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. Now this is a really important time when she aligns with the rebirthing energy of Pluto. Samhain is actually considered to be the start of the new year, and Pluto is all about rebirth and transformation. So the energy is really primed to help us discover pivotal turning points. And of course, we are still bang in the middle of eclipse season. So whether you're preparing the ground, sowing seeds, or nurturing your dreams into a space of growth or completion, the energy is really appropriate to kind of celebrate this turning point, celebrate your achievements up to date, but also take time to dream and think about where you want to go from here and what kind of things you wish to invest in terms of future manifestations. During this moon phase as well, on the 27th of October, when the moon moves from Scorpio into Sagittarius, we do see quite a long nearly 6 hours void of course period. Just be conscious of this. I always think if we can notice when these long void of course periods happen, we can start to see how we are personally affected by them. So this is 04:27 to 10:55 AM GMT on the 27th of October. The moon reaches her first quarter position in Aquarius on November the 1st. And we do see some very, very interesting influences going on. A first quarter moon is always a point of evaluation. Aquarius is inviting higher vision and purpose. Neptune, who is all about spiritual, watery, emotional energy, and the passions of Lilith, who speaks to us about our really, really deep-seated heart's desires, are flowing really harmoniously. And the lunar energy actually then connects with Saturn, who kind of helps us to bring solidity and realness to our manifestations. So in this first quarter point, I think we might really be able to see exactly what we need to do in real terms to start to bring our manifestations forwards, literally making our visions real, knowing what steps to take next to bring our manifestations into form. The moon then moves into her waxing gibbous phase. She's getting bigger and bigger, and at the height of this moon phase she passes through Pisces into Aries, and she actually adds her energy to the Neptune Lilith flow. So this is the spiritual element of the incoming energy at the moment that's also tuning into our heart's desires. She then joins expansive Jupiter. So this is a time when the lunar energy is already getting bigger and bigger. This is the perfect moon phase to support you in discovering, but also expanding your purpose and calling. The energy of the sun is also going to tap into the nodes, so there's an element of destiny, fate coming in here, and also the Saturn-Uranus square comes into these dynamics. So if anything unexpected happens during this moon phase, trust that there is some real purpose to it that will support your soul's journey and your soul's evolution. Things are being revealed to you even before we get to the point of the full moon. And as we have already said, of course, we are in eclipse season where things can happen and change very, very quickly. We also, during this phase, see a couple of quite long void of course periods on the 2nd of November when the moon moves from Aquarius into Pisces, and also on the 6th and into the 7th of November when the moon moves from Aries into Taurus. These are both quite long periods of time, so be aware of them, have the heads up, and be conscious of how that sometimes rather unanchored energy might be affecting you, particularly with all of the other astrodynamics that are taking place. The moon then reaches her full moon eclipse in Taurus on the 8th and 9th of November. Now, the energy of a full moon in Taurus actually can bring us perseverance, and it can really inspire us to push forwards regardless of any obstacles that are in our pathway. Providing your actions are in pursuit of higher ideals, the energy of this will actually work really, really well. You know, we can feel powerful, we can find stamina, but if things are a little bit emotive, as they often are at a full moon, we do need to be careful not to act like a bull in a china shop and push through without thought or regard. So sometimes this is the kind of moon, this full moon will highlight the areas where we need to slow down and maybe tread a little more lightly. Also, a Taurus moon will naturally focus our attention on security and stability. And with the added influence of the eclipse energy, we might find insecurities in these areas surfacing around home, family, finances and health, including, you know, the health of self-esteem and emotional wellness. But the purpose of this is to bring things to your attention so you can see what you need to do to create change. Now, in light of this kind of energy, if you find yourself wanting to stay at home and retreat, listen to this, you know, listen to this as a calling and just go to ground. There's quite a strong influence of Mercury, who's the great communicator, around as well. So there's opportunity for conversations, I think, of really significant enlightenment. This could be out in the world with others, but it may also be one of those conversations that you have with yourself. If you are interested in using spring water in any of your ceremonies and you put spring water or rainwater out underneath the light of the moon to absorb the energy, the kind of ceremonies you can use this water are for areas where you need to find perseverance and staying power, or maybe you need to slow something down to a manageable pace so that you can actually create slow and steady progress rather than that bull in a china shop kind of stuff. So use the moon water in these kind of ceremonies and practices. The moon then moves into her disseminating phase, or waning gibbous phase. The energy is still quite high, the lunar energy, and there's a ton of connections and collaborations at this point with other planets that are suggesting we can get really creative. We can find, I would say, invest in steady progress with the energy supporting us in creating expansion, consolidation, movement forwards, and kind of like making stuff real. It's really, really lovely. So this is a time to be, I think, potentially quite active, whether you're internally active or externally active. The energy of this moon phase is really, really supportive of kind of making stuff happen. On November the 16th, the moon reaches her last quarter. The quarter moons are always about evaluation, and this time the moon is in Leo. Interestingly enough, I think for me there's always a shift at the last quarter where I begin to feel naturally that I'm turning my sort of manifesting, it's like a turning point from external stuff to internal stuff, and finding a balance so that I can work out whether the stuff I'm doing in my external world is actually in alignment with the values I have in my inner world. So there's a ton of stuff that's really, really good in terms of expansion, reinforcing reflection, and positive constructive validation of progress, so that we can actually fine-tune and clarify the next steps of our pathway forwards. So lots and lots of potential here to evaluate, make any adjustments that are needed, and then continue on our way. The moon then moves into her balsamic moon phase, the waning crescent phase, and there's some quite contradictory energy going on during this moon phase. We also actually do have a 6-hour void of course period as well on the 21st of November when the moon moves from Libra into Scorpio. So given the kind of contradictory dynamics, please be conscious of this, because you could feel a little bit discombobulated, a little bit sort of uncertain. Now, the lunar energy, especially when the moon is in Libra at this period, is inviting you to soften any of your interactions and perspectives, including any perceptions you have of yourself. So if things are a bit intense at any time, try to take time out, try to slow down, invest in your own self-care, because you will return revitalized and refreshed. I truly think during this moon phase, I would say, you know, the energy is about healing and investment in self-care and balance rather than trying to push ahead. So it really is about slowing down, taking it easy, and unless you have to respond to something in a very immediate way, try to just take your time, take it step by step with the things you do need to do, and step away from the things that you don't. Super Souls, thank you so much for joining me for this moon update. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope it's helpful in giving you the heads up of the incoming energy and information that you need in order to navigate smoothly and from a place of empowered conscious awareness. For any of you who are interested in learning to manifest with the moon, don't forget that the Manifest with the Moon, Astro-Moon diary and journal are now available. I'll put all the links in the information box below. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you all of you who are supporting the work that I do on this YouTube channel and who are also supporting me through Patreon as well. I am sending you all the love in the world. Have an amazing moon month of manifestation.